Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial, the only fan-run stream all dedicated to the LJL. Going for a new intro, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I am your host, Alex, otherwise known as Likely. I go by Master One on the internet. Of course, I am joined by the color commentator extraordinaire, Nymera, and the play-by-play expert, Initialize. As always, please introduce yourselves.
Pretty good intro to begin with. I like being called an expert. It's a nice touch. And
whether it's true.
Oh, it's definitely true.
You're both phenomenal, alright? Jesus.
Don't need you undercutting me here. I'm Sam Initialize Hopkins. I'm joined by my frustrating color caster.
So I'll be doing a solo cast next year.
Yeah, I see how it is. You need me. God.
But yeah, no. Had some interesting games already today. 2 down, 2 to go. Next one going to be another big one because obviously it has Detonation Focus Me in it, and we always love casting those guys. And always the question is, who can beat them?
So Rascal Jester is who they're against for the 3rd game of today, the 7th game of the week. And Rascal Jester, when they faced up against DFM, they actually looked kind of competitive. They looked a little bit stronger. They definitely were giving the impression to us when we were watching. I believe that was back in week 2. That potentially Rascal Jester could start maybe pulling up a hot streak. They faced against some of the stronger teams, at least at that point, but haven't actually had a return to form, and since have actually kind of looked more dwindling. So definitely, hopefully they can turn that around. Obviously, as I said, this is a repeat matchup, and DFM last time had all the overpowered picks, using your terminology, Nymera, to truly bring it in. And then kind of see where that goes. And even with 0 engage, they still found a way to win, which is kind of phenomenal because it ended up being just a team fight game, which is crazy that DFM can still win that. But maybe Rascal Jester try something else. Maybe they take a page out of Crest's book, ban just Cyros and say screw it against the rest of them.
Maybe, yeah. So the last time they gave DFM Akali, Syndra, Aphelios, the 3 hyper carries of that meta, really. That was kind of before people realized that Ornn was kind of broken. People were kind of picking him up a little bit, but hadn't realized how strong he was.
Yeah.
No, we saw a couple of games of Soraka, but it wasn't the permaban status that it was. Also, no one had discovered Yuumi yet, although those buffs came through on 10.3, so not on that patch. The interesting thing from that composition was that DFM picked up a Taric. That was fun. Then they used the Cosmic Radiance to make sure that they couldn't lose team fights even if they weren't in a position to win them.
Yeah.
And it meant that the game went on for a very long time because there wasn't a plethora of engage for either team. But eventually DFM problem solved their way to an interesting backdoor victory.
And there was, of course, that double TP ending from around the Elder Drake. That was a nice ending from DFM. But I think what it did prove is that Rascal Jester have the capability to be quite a smart team in the way they draft and the way they play the game. Sometimes they can put themselves into a bit of hole doing that when they kind of go towards picks that they kind of default to. Like we've seen Art go towards the Ashe, which he looks great on, but sometimes that Ashe can get a bit punished. And I think sometimes if you want to sort of stand toe-to-toe with DFM, you do have to play smart. And I think Rascal Jester are one of our smarter teams. So I have some hope from coming into this game, and especially after the last game where CGA kind of didn't get a lot done in the early game, and then DFM kind of just ran over them once their scaling and a couple items came on, like things like the Vladimir. I have a hopefully we'll see a little bit more competitive game here, especially if it lives up to how the game went between
That in mind, I think it's important. My matchup where I'm going to be watching on the map the most is going to be this bot lane. Art and Vivid are arguably one of the best combos of bot lanes that we have in the LJL. They're very tenured players. I really like watching both of them play. Obviously, Vivid I have a soft spot for because just amazing plays and has pulled out some very clutch support plays. Obviously, Gang is going to be who he's matched up against, and Gang is arguably just as good, if not maybe better. So it's going to be a very interesting one with Yutapon. Also, again, one of the best AD carries in the region, so not going to be an easy one for Rascal Jester, I think. What are your thoughts on the matchup or any other lanes, maybe the jungle, mid lane?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's right to focus on the bot lane. That's why you pointed out so easily, right? Because I think that Art has been visibly the carry of Rascal Jester. He's the guy who's been flashing forward on Ashe. He's had some unorthodox picks. He was picking up
both wins on the Ashe?
He
One win on
he
the
lost
Ash.
against the Hawks with the Ash, but he played very admirably in that game.
that's
He was
right.
up against like an Aphelios and a
Oh, yeah.
and a Nazir, so he was like 1v2ing the carries and trying to win, but like that game wasn't so great. He's been picking stuff like he played Varus the last time he played against
That's
DFM.
right.
Didn't do too bad on it, but
No.
you know the pick has limits to what it can do compared to some of the S tier AD carries around. He's not been falling back to something like the Misfortune like Youthpon has been doing so often as well, and the likes of Yutori Miyashi and Gango and all the others have been. He's been more heading towards some of his own champion pool of picks.
Yeah, and I think as another lane to watch, perhaps in a less positive sense, I need to be seeing more out of Ninja. This is a guy who was doing a lot of work for Rascal
Yeah.
Jester. Last year, he's been quiet, largely at best. This year, he's been getting picked off, getting a bit punished in lane, and we need to see a bit more out of him. And Rascal Jester
Agreed.
need a second carry, frankly. And against Seros, that's going to be no mean feat. So I'm going to need him to step up, especially for Rascal Jester. Really, truly want to be competing for at least playoffs.
Absolutely agree with you on that one. And with that in mind, I think it's about time that we get into this pick and ban phase for Rascal Jesters versus Detonation Focus Me. Let me just count us in 3, 2, 1. Good luck to both these teams.
Thank you again, Master Swan. And of course, we are into game 3, and it's our second DFM game of the week. It's our first Rascal Jester game of the week. And Rascal Jester are on the blue side this time around. And in the top lane, they have Cog. Jungle, it's Hachimecha. Mid lane, it's Ninja. And that bot lane is, of course, Art and Vivid.
And on the other side, the indomitable Detonation Focus Me on the red side. In the top lane, Ebby. In the jungle, Steel. In the mid lane, Seros. In the bot lane, Utapon and support Gang.
And bans coming through already. Rascal Jester do not want to give Yuumi over to the side of DFM. Heimerdinger is their second ban. On the other side, it is the Rumble ban. A relatively flexible pick. We've seen it go support. We've seen it go mid. There's always the opportunity for it to go somewhere like top as
Absolutely. And what this shows is that Rascal Jester don't want to first pick a Yuumi either. They've banned it on the blue side. Obviously, would have been available to them if they had wanted it. We'll see if DFM want to ban out the Ornn as the last pick. That's another very competent first pick too. And there's also the likes of the Soraka hanging around as well.
Yeah.
Which Ninja played in the mid lane,
Indeed,
actually.
he
That
did
was
it.
against Crest. And their win versus Crest, actually. Very big pickup for them.
Aatrox taken off the board as well. However, maligned or contested that the usefulness of that pick is globally. Ebby is an exceptional player of that champion, has done some pretty great and gross things on that champion, so taken off the board. See what DFM's last ban is. They've gone towards the Soraka.
Okay, so Ornn
Not a
first
bad
pick.
call.
It's
We've
probably
seen
gonna
Ninja
be-
play a
oh,
very good
yeah.
Soraka game.
Yeah, so Aphelios taken off as well. It's probably going to be the Ornn first pick. Very, very strong champion right now. Gives you a lot of engage, disengage, and scaling options from the best tank in the game.
Do we just see the Vladimir in response again, though? Is Ebby just going to go run back that Vladimir? He played it last time and looked fairly competent on it.
Could be the Misfortune Yuumi picks, actually.
Leona is still available, of course, as well, and that's the old kill combo. So is Nautilus. A lot of
Oh, no,
other
Yumi's not
opportunities.
available, yeah.
Sorry, no, Yuumi is not available.
Whoops.
But other engaged supports and other supports that do work very well with this champion are, assuming, of course, this is locked in, it is. Running down their time there for a little bit more discussion are DFM. Potentially, I expect we'll see something like an engaged support, considering the two premier healers are off the board.
They are, as you are saying. They might also choose to pick up something like a jungler in this slot as well, if they do want to pick up something a bit more flexible. But they're actually choosing to go for the set. Very good take on all comers top laner. The boss in the top lane.
Yeah, and Ebby, again, has had some pretty stellar games on that champion. That Axis game where he made Uenyan really sad on set, when he was playing the set into Uenyan's Mordekaiser, was pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
And I imagine he's looking to return the favour to Cog this time around. It's an Ezreal lock-in, though.
Probably going to be Ezreal Braum then, I'd imagine. I get Ezreal Braum is a very good lane in itself. And
Takes the Braum away from DFM.
and takes the Braum away from the pseudo Ornn counter, and is there to stop the bullet time as well. So I think that would be a pretty high value pick here, as much as blind pick Braum can be abused by certain mage supports.
Yeah, and if you are picking an Ezreal anyway, you're not necessarily looking to push super hard in that lane all the time. So maybe that's a good pick. It could be quite safe. A lot of free farming. Ezreal scales well. Does stop that counter pick from going over. So I'm pretty okay with that. See what the response is. Poppy being potentially picked up here. That would be an interesting choice.
We will wait until something is locked in because it is the cardinal sin of casting a
But
pick
it's
and
so
ban.
much more exciting to talk about the
Oh,
Hobbers.
sure. Yeah, so hovering the Cho'Gath right now, that's Nap's favorite champion, really. Well, the one he goes towards.
Gone
It's
towards
not picked
Rakan.
towards that. It's actually the Rakan locked in for the support of DFM. Just before the second bans come in, might have been banned away. Gaga's had some pretty fantastic games on that in the past.
Also removes it from Vivid's champion pool as well. Vivid
Oh, yeah,
is a
another one,
very
yeah.
famous and very good Rakan player, so Banshee just taking that off the board because they don't want to ban it. So again, the Mordekaiser are taken off the board, potentially thinking that Ninja wants to run that mid lane. He's done that before. And of course, Ornn and Mordekaiser are flexible between the mid and the top lane. Let's see what the response is from Rascal Jester. I imagine it'll be something towards Saros potentially, though there is, of course, a jungle to think about as well.
Yeah, well, on the off chance that it's a set flex into the jungle. It's the Syndra banned away first. A very good blind pick into the mid lane. Saros also very good at that champion himself. Just a high value ban all around.
Yes, it is.
The Karma and the Zig still available.
Yeah, of course they are. So I mean, he could definitely go towards this. He might go towards something new. I mean, he did show the Cassiopeia last game. Looked pretty content on that. Might well go towards something like that. Rise taken away. Another one of those kind of strong scaling AP split pushers. Ninja knows how to play it. Can understand why that's taken off the board.
And also, when you have Ezreal Braum, it means that you can hold the mid lane for pretty much eternity because they're such a safe lane and have long range wave clear with the Mystic shots coming in and a good disengage of the Unbreakable and the Glacial Fissure from the Braum. So the Rise would have been good for the 1-3-1. They might still look for something interesting in the mid lane. They could also, look maybe towards the Vladimir themselves, but in the mid lane a little bit risky.
At least taken off the board. Don't want Steel getting his hand on that. The last time he took that out, kind of ran over the game with it. So Sejuani potentially the response here. Could understand that. It's a lot more engaged alongside something like the Rakan.
Okay.
So DFM have got themselves a nice tanky front line with a fair amount of engage at this point. And Miss Fortune is always good team fights damage. So just holding that last pick now for Saros.
Oh, yeah. If you manage to get the Glacial Prison and then the quickness from Rakan coming in with a giant grand entrance, it means that you do have so much immobilizing power to lock teams down into the bullet time. Yes, it is the Trundle locked into the Sejuani. That's the old school counter. For the Sejuani means that if she procs her Aftershock alongside her, her extra resists passive, it means that she actually drops into negative resist. I think it's the only champion in the game which can do that. Because after...
They lock in the Zigzag response.
Oh, they do!
Not going to give it over to Saros. They're going to pick it away. And go on. He's thinking about some serious assassin picks here. I doubt it. It would be a lot of fun. Cassiopeia seems a little bit more reasonable right now, and I can see that being a decent matchup into Ziggs potentially.
Right. Just drop. That's
throwing the gauntlet down. You pick Ziggs into the Master Saros himself. That's bold, Ninja. Bold.
That's putting your hand down. That's putting your cards down. Just shoving everything into the middle.
Yeah,
it is. That's Ninja. We said we wanted to see some more stuff out of him.
This is it.
There's a bit of swagger on this pick, taking it away from Saros, his champion pick. This will be the second player to pick up that champion in the LJL, and it's into another kind of this mid-range high DPS mage of the Cassiopeia. Saros played it earlier, looked pretty good on that, managed to lane very well against Arya, the guy who has been arguably our mid-lane MVP of the split so far.
Yeah, and it does mean that Rascal Jester picked himself up a pretty heavy poke comp with a fair amount of tanky frontline. They can just throw out all those bouncing bombs, all those mystic shots, and try and chunk out the side of DFM. We'll see whether they can pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a really good siege comp. If they ever get ahead in this game, it can be very worrying for the side of DFM because the Trundle Pillar is very good at displacing people, slowing people down, and making sure they get hit by every bouncing bomb and mystic shot. Then you have the disengage, as you were saying, from all three Freljordian champions, Ornn, Trundle, and Braum in this game. On the other side, there's a whole lot of engage.
Yes, there is. I'm looking at that Sejuani Glacial Prison, that quickness we talked about, but there's also a heck of a lot of team fight damage between Cassiopeia, Miss Fortune, and of course a set to add more of that disruption in the backline as well. Suplex someone into a petrifying gaze? Yes, please.
Yeah, and where we'll have to see DFM play very well this game is that they do have two dashless carries in the Cassiopeia and the
Yes.
Misfortune versus the Trundle Pillar versus the Ornn ult versus the Glacial Fissure, and then all of that can set up very nicely into a Mega Inferno Bomb. So if Rascal Jester managed to catch them both out in the same engage, could be teamfights ending pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely could. And of course, one of the issues we've seen with poke comps in the LJL in the past is the fact that people get poked out but never die, and they can never secure enough objectives off the end of it. Mega Inferno Bomb, if you can just execute people with it, if you're throwing enough poke down, definitely can be quite a cincher in this particular matchup. But we're on to the Rift, and we're ready to see some League of Legends action. It's just a 5-man fan at the minute, so nothing particularly exciting starting off at this level.
Yeah,
1.
nothing particularly happening at this level 1. No invades, anything like that.
That's a shame. I kind of enjoy.
This game.
Where's my level 1 action, man? Where's it gone?
Another game.
Another
Sorry.
game?
Another region. Not here.
Not here. Okay.
We don't do that here.
We've definitely
Okay.
done that here. Do you not throw that way back to the 2019 summer semi-finals when we saw the most ridiculous
yes.
level 1?
True.
I think your phrasing was that was awful. Was
I
the
believe
response?
my exact response was I can't think of a way that could have gone
Got
worse.
That's
Yeah.
the one. It wasn't the best
That's,
level 1.
I
over there.
think 3 people died in an invade. It was
Yes.
awful. Yeah. Anyway, that was some time ago
Yeah,
now.
many moons ago, and let's take it back to 2020. We're here in the spring split. We're in week 4. It's game 7. DFM are 7-0, looking to go undefeated up to 8-0.
Ebby's doing this thing on set again where he
Again.
just zones people off at level 1, which
He's
is
going to have
so
level
harsh.
Facebreaker. I can tell you now. Just doesn't want to give Ornn a chance to get this wave. So ugly.
Yeah, he's actually going to push him out of XP range as well. Ebby just standing on. Oh, this is so annoying.
And it's just like Ebby doesn't want the CS. He just wants the experience.
What? He doesn't care. Things are. He knows he's now 3 melee minions ahead just from the level 1 in terms of XP.
Oh, it's just brutal.
He's doing it again.
I'm listening to the hilarity of my producer breaking out in laughter across
He
my
has
headphones.
0 XP.
He's 0. Oh my days!
He's been zoned off of every creep dot. He knows.
Oh, level
no.
2, there it is, and the Haymaker's here for just additional poke. Of course, Ebby's not even mana dependent, so he can just keep doing this. Trundle is at least pathing topside, so maybe he can help break this sort of interminable freeze.
That is just. Oh man, that's the kind of thing you report to the school for being bullying. That is. And he still misses the Facebreaker at least.
Just about tags on the Haymaker, at least stop the true damage. But there are some cues coming out from Cogpog, but Ebby's just like, yeah, bring it. I'm just building up my grit. That's all I care about.
This reminds me of the old times when
Steel's going for an invade, knows where Hachimetra is, so there's not even going to be the chance to properly break the freeze.
Yeah, there's a smite available from Hachimetra, so it doesn't have the Gromp taken away. But this is such a dominant early game from Ebby. And the thing is, though, it's not like Ebby has lost any experience himself. This isn't a trade or anything. This is a permanent. He's level 3 to level 1, and he's got a. This is a permanent 2.5 level lead for
I've
Ebby.
seen a level. I don't think I've seen a 2-level lead of literally 6 CS now as Ebby picked up. He doesn't care about it now. It's just
If
the
you want to see an
experience.
example of this, it was one of the MSIs many years ago. I think it was 2016 MSI, may have been 2017, where it was Faker versus Maker.
Ah, yes, he's just
oh,
coming in. Oh,
still.
Cog, buddy.
He has no E.
Oh, he's level 1. He can't run away.
That is horrifying.
Oh,
That is.
that's-
Oh, he's losing the wave to tower.
Oh no, he's going to proxy farm. You're not singed. You're not singed. You don't get to do this. Level 4 to level 1. No.
Oh, no, the
Facebreaker. Hachimetra is here. He's just gonna go for the solo kill. No, and like, at least Hachimetra is here, but he's like, oh, this is miserable. He's got flash. It's not gonna matter. He's just gonna trade Ebby. He's like, I've got blast plant. Bring it. I'm gonna go for this. He's got the grit available. I think Ebby might have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. At
He
least
has
I'd
the
say that.
Facebreaker
He's got a
available to him
Facebreaker
now.
available. I think finally. Yeah, he's getting out safe is the end result. But Hong Kong finally gets to the wave. Is he going to get level 2? Yes! He's there! Welcome to the game, Kong. It's taken you 4.5 minutes, but finally... And that Twitter vote is seeming more and more likely after that little level 1.
Cog has turned 2. Happy birthday, little Ornn. You've finally turned away from the age of 1. And Ebby is actually going to teleport back into the top side, at least. He's going to just push the advantage. This is This is horrifying.
Who would win? One punchy boy or a literal god from the Freljord? Apparently, the answer is the boss is
punchy
in
boy.
town. He's handed that calling card over so far early on in this game.
And
Entertainment aside, it's been well, entertaining first couple minutes there.
and the worst thing is, this lane can actually freeze. This can actually freeze it.
Hachimesh is back at least. Gonna get a charge in. Has got the searing charge at least. Maybe Ebby this time
Wait,
could be in a bit of trouble. Has got face breaker. I think. No, he's got it. I think Ebby's just dead. Yep, he's overstepped this time.
Okay.
First blood over to the Trundle. Not a freeze. Doesn't have the teleport either. It's gonna lose a big wave to the turret.
No, that's
That looks
actually
too
pretty
big for his
huge.
breaches.
That's actually pretty huge because that would have effectively been game over if they'd managed to keep that freeze there. So what that means is that there is at least a lifeline for Cog on the Ornn in the top side. Pushes in. There's probably going to be about a good 10-15 CS lost to turret there. Might be a plate as well. As you were saying, there was it's a cannon being lost too. There's a lot of golden XP being lost for Ebby here, which might even things up at the end of the day.
Yeah, level 4 to level 4. I think it does.
Yeah, and while I've been trying to say this for many minutes now, but just the hilarity ensued really. But if you want to see a game which ended up in a similar kind of thing, situation was way back when it was Faker versus Maple and Cassiopeia versus LeBlanc, where off of the first wave he managed to force back to LeBlanc 2-3 times and get a 60 CS lead from lane from doing similar things. Just make sure you have this crazy level 1 zoning, which you win the level 1 trade with the skills that you have available to you, and you just push that advantage super hard.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trade onto Utapon, fighting over the vision. Speaking of decent leads on Cassiopeia, it's 10 currently for Zeros. He might get a clean invade onto the Raptor camp of this Trundle. Hachimecha now coming around the back, potentially looking to find Steel, who's stealing away the red buff of Rascal Jester. Still, though, a bit of a CS lead in the top side for Eb. Pretty content, even though he did die for first blood. So, like, that 4-level, 3-level lead is only now a 1-level lead, though.
Yeah, Hachimecha trying to interrupt the Arctic Assault of Steel's Sejuani there. Doesn't quite manage it. Does get a decent trade, though, as Steel managing to find himself a couple of camps up on the Sejuani himself, which is pretty good for the Sejuani. Not often do you get early game leads on the Sejuani, as you are quite a good scaling champion. You do want to survive the early game rather than thrive, but in this game, it looks like he's definitely doing the latter.
Gosh, it's probably because Hachimecha's had to turn up top a couple times, kind of awkwardly, just to rescue his ailing top laner. At least now Cog is in the game, isn't kind of
it was
completely
absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
absolutely
that game could have been lost real quickly. They're getting a quick knock up there, though, nearly gets stunned up, but no, not going to happen. I suppose at this point it's probably worth, because we've not had this conversation on cast yet. Like, Ebby's name, we're pronouncing it with a B, not a V, mainly because that's more of a Japanese pronunciation. V and B are effectively the same letter in Japanese, and what it basically means is that he's named himself literally Shrimp. Ebby literally means shrimp, and that's what he's named himself. The V and the B interchangeable. Strictly, it should be with a B, but it doesn't make that much difference. So yeah, Ebby, interchangeable.
You guys just do you. We'll
Exactly.
be doing us. We'll be calling him Ebby over here.
So if you ever go watch his Twitch stream or whenever he does stream, it is a picture of a shrimp for good reason. And that's who he is. He's not playing any particular crustacean champion today, though. He's playing the boss.
I just want to see him play. I don't know whether he's ever played much Urgot in his career, but there is
enemy crab god, yes.
Crab god. So we see Steel at level 6 here, coming up into the top lane.
And Cog's taking a lot of damage, has been forced to burn the heal. Hello, he's trying to flash over the wall, and that's a decent flash. It's going to keep him safe, but there's a slow here from the Chilling Smite. Going to get the stun there, and that means there's no chance of returning that ult. Oh no, just about does, but it's going to get turned around. That's a massive amount of damage coming in from the Mega Inferno Bomb that is stopped by a Haymaker.
Yeah.
So things are not as dramatic as I was making out, but it means that Debbie now back in control up in this top side. Flash burn from Cog, kill over to Steel. He's also going to pick up this Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, and that would be just nails in the coffin if it goes into top lane as well, that Herald. Actually looks like he's peeling off of that. Hachimecha was on the same side of the map. Looks like he's heading towards mid lane,
Yeah,
though.
gets a good Arctic Assault. Ninja has got Cleanse, is going to burn it, but now it's Mao Miasma.
Oh,
just for the
Seros.
damage. Seros nearly got it. At least forced the flash there. Good damage in, but the tower shots in return do mean that Seros probably going to have to back, but he's going to be okay with that.
Yeah,
he was wanting to back anyway. And
got
Ninja
the,
loses summoners.
Yeah, Seros took a lot of damage there. He was He had the level up there, which makes him look slightly more healthy than he was very briefly, under 100 HP. One more skill landed from Ninja, might have been able to kill there. And if he had the Mega Inferno Bomb available to him, if he hadn't used the top, would have been very much kill pressure there. It's a good gank from Steel that gets both summoners away from this very vulnerable mid laner in Ziggs. So well played there once again by Steel, managing to affect 2 lanes in as many minutes.
Yep, and of course, without those summoners, that Ziggs is even more risky, or at least even more at risk, rather. And of course, he does have the satchel charge as an attempt at a disengage, but that's not necessarily always available. And can definitely be punished. So the next time that glacial prison is up and available for Steel, I would not be surprised to see that Sejuani returning mid to finish up what that gank started.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see the GLP picked up from Ziggs. Pretty good versus the Cassiopeia because she does want to be in this kind of mid-range positioning to try and throw out the Twin Fangs amongst other skills. That kind of stops her from running forward towards you so quickly. But if you do put out the Phase Rush, you do get some slow resist as well. So less good than it could be, but still good at disengaging that Cassiopeia.
Alright, Steel has started up the Rift Herald again on that top side. Mountain Drake Spawn and Rascal Jester are here to investigate. Though Trundle now coming mid, Seros walking towards that is going to get pillared. That froze him in place, has to flash away, does flash it though. And that means he's going to be at least safe for now.
But that's both ults burned from Rascal Jester's mid and jungle. I can't help but feel Ninja was a bit quick on that Mega Inferno Bomb. Knew that the flash was available from Cassiopeia. Might have been able to throw out a bit more damage and then try and use the Mega Inferno Bomb to threaten the actual kill after the flash had gone down. Still coming in for a bit of vision, but the pink ward is immediately removed by Trundle.
Yeah, but it means that both junglers are around this top side, though. Steel is here with that Rift Herald. Another good face breaker in from Ebby, who's been using that consistently over the last few times he's picked that to really stay ahead of his opponent's waves and keep them away from the experience we saw earlier on in this game.
So Steel's actually back mid here. 4 levels down on Ninja.
That wasn't great, but it's not sure it's going to matter because he's still going to get stunned up in place. Nope. Ninja turns that around and Steel's going to feel a little bit sheepish about that one.
A little bit sheepish, but no Rams involved. They're in the top lane right now.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seros was actually pretty low there as well, so must have taken some pretty nasty trades.
Well, I think that was the result. He might have. I think he stayed in lane still
post
after
the Mega Inferno and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Pretty much. I think that was the case. But yeah, Ninja just getting a reset of his own now. Seros using the teleport to get back to mid lane. The dragon is up. Might use this time to try and get some vision around there and threaten starting that up because Cassiopeia, as we've said on in the post game last time, is just the best objective taker of all mid laners, really.
Yeah, of course that assumes she has mana, because if she does want to burn through the neutral objectives, what it also burns through is her mana. So she has to be a little bit careful there, though of course with the Tear and the Archangel Staff, not quite a Seraph's yet, can be a little bit harder
That's the blue buff.
Well, yeah, harder to run through that as well, and the blue buff indeed does help.
Yeah, it's the second blue buff that we've seen handed off to this Cassiopeia already. Saw a couple handing off to Ninja as well. Both these mid laners very mana-hungry champions, but with current AP itemization, there's a lot of mana available towards mid laners between stuff like the all of the lost chapter items and a couple of tier items too.
Yeah. So where are we at with our team's win conditions? It's nearly neck and neck. It's about 300 gold, if that, in the lead for DFM. And where are these win conditions at? How are we looking? I'm looking at a big CS lead for this Cassiopeia in mid. But that's about it currently. And actually, Seros getting chunked out here. Decent satchel charge back, and there's going to be a call to the forward guard. I think Seros could just be up.
Oh, he's just
executed. That was nicely played from Rascal Jester, claiming that Snake Lady in transition.
Yeah, and this is not the first time we've seen Seros get caught a little bit out of position on the Cassiopeia. Saw it last game a bit too in the game against Crest Gaming. Actually, even in their dominant win over there were a couple of times where he was caught out.
Yeah, I mean, largely he managed to avoid stuff with Phase Rush, but not that time because everyone was coming from so many different angles. Chose a very aggressive path through the river, got punished for it. DFM, though, going to be starting up the Drake here with the Mountain. The second Drake of the game being a Mountain Drake means we're going to get either an Infernal or a Cloud Rift. See where that goes. Ninja going to try and push in this mid lane turret. Can demolish it if he gets the chance. Going to try and bring it down low enough. Is he going to get to the execute threshold?
Yes,
he
is.
Takes
First
it out.
tower.
That's a big deal. Cassiopeia dying does mean that Ziggs gets to push in and take that tower. Let's hear how that pick happened here.
Okay, so Seros is hanging over to the top side of this lane here. Ninja has all of his abilities available to him. Seros quickly pushes out the wave and tries to get some vision up onto this top side here. Get the scuttle as well. He does walk over a zombie ward though. They see him on that little ward thing there. Ninja gets the GLP into the minefield, gets the satchel as well. And at that point, Ornn is in range to follow up with Call of the Forge God. So that's 3 people in there involved in the kill, as Hachimecha also lands a good pillar too.
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the risks when even when Ornn is pushed under tower, he has got quite a long range on that Call of the Forge God.
Yeah.
So even though priority was there for Ebby, who had managed to shove that wave in, couldn't respond anywhere near as fast enough as that one.
Yeah, there's actually not too much of a big difference between any of these lanes here. The only one being the, well, I say that there's a 700 gold lead for Ninja right now in the mid lane. Ebby holding on to a lot of gold there, actually. He's got 2,000 gold. Kog'Maw trading pretty well onto him. As a result of that, doesn't have a lot of that combat stats immediately on his person.
It's an exhaust brought out. Ebby could be in trouble. Has got the flash though, so burns away. It's exhaust burn, and that's about it from Kog'Maw. Well played there. Ebby being a little greedy, staying in lane with that much gold, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't have the combat stats available to him. Gets away with the flash. Would have liked that maybe leading into one of the next fights. But, you know, a win is a win for Rascal Jester in this. Oh, Gang's caught out a little bit there.
He is, but he's gonna battle dance away, and he's gonna be just fine. Hachimecha flashes away from the Glacial Prison. Teleport, though, now burned from the side of Kog'Maw, who wants to be here ready for this dragon fight. So even a dragon fight happening. It's just a teleport in, thinking that was going to be more of a fight. Steel does get caught out by the pillar again, but nothing else comes of it. And that means teleport burn there for not a lot. And Steel, or rather Ebby in the top side, is going to be really happy to have a free lane for a bit.
Yeah, that kind of sucks for Rascal Jester. So we did see the Mountain Dragon go down to the side of DFM. It's going to be an Infernal Rift. And then we'll have to wait another couple of minutes for a dragon fight. Actually, no objective around there besides the kills themselves, none of which went down.
Yeah, I do want to praise, actually, Ninja for this game. Like, yes, he's down in CS. Yes, Seros has built up a fairly decent CS lead, but in terms of the turret pressure, in terms of the ganks, in terms of some nice little mechanics on the satchel charge.
And avoiding ganks, right?
Yeah, avoiding a couple ganks there. Much better from him. Right, it's not like Seros is out of this game, not like he's playing badly per se, but we wanted Ninja to step up, to be a second carry for Rascal Jester. He's doing that so far.
Although I will say, I'm not a big fan of the Morellonomicon, the Oblivion Orb purchased in this game. I think that in this game in particular, you either want to be going towards the large amount of AP with something like a Death Cap second because you have an Ornn on your team, or you go into something like Liandry's instead because there are a lot of HP tanks on the other side. Even Cassiopeia builds up a decent amount of HP if you go towards the Rylai's and the Morellacon, and Liandry's and the Morello. All 3 of these items which Cassiopeia likes. So there could have been perhaps better items to pick up right now for the Ziggs.
Yeah, and while we're talking about that, we saw the second Rift Herald go down to the side of Rascal Jester. We saw Steel pop over with a blast pad, but couldn't nick it away. Didn't manage to pick it up. And, of course, from that teleport earlier burned, we saw 2 towers go down. Both the bot and top towers were claimed by DFM as well.
You know what's even worse? It's actually a full Morellonomicon.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah,
at Ziggs, as a poke champion, does get decent value out of the Morellonomicon. Cassiopeia does heal a decent amount. But that's kind of it, unless Rakan is hitting Qs. But even then, that's not a massive amount of healing.
Sure, I mean, I suppose
particularly
as regen. That's about.
It's incidental, really. It's not particularly large. But anyway, enough about the particular items. I'll rant about that in my spare time. Don't have to worry about that on broadcast. So we're going to slowly start seeing Ornn items coming in over the next couple of minutes. He's at level 11 now. A couple more levels will be starting to upgrade his teammates' items, but I don't actually think there are any available to him until Art gets that Triforce on the Ezreal, if he chooses to go towards it. He does have a longsword in inventory and a dagger, so I assume it will be the Triforce.
Yeah, I mean, it would make a lot more sense, I agree. I mean, I suppose he could still pivot towards the it's not Frozen Fist, that's the actual augment. It's Iceborne Gauntlet.
No, but when you have a longsword and a dagger,
I'm assuming that. I mean, I was like, it would be an odd choice. But of course, that pressure on the bot side, like we hadn't quite seen because we hadn't been looking down at that bot lane too much. But Yutapon and Gang actually had put down a lot of pressure on that turret, even if the CS didn't really show it.
Okay.
And that meant they did manage to pick up that turret fairly free, but we are seeing Infernal Drake spawning in 10 seconds and the Rift Herald summoned in this mid lane that already gone down. So a lot of priority here. In fact,
And
they're
this
gonna
is the
shove
siege.
for the tier 2. Yes, you're right, it is the siege. Can they stop it? Nope, that just means tier 2
Oh,
now gone.
Herald with Zig
Six
Satchel is
seems
actually
to be
so good at
massively
demolishing
strong.
these things.
Yeah, Ebby though is pushing in the top side. Well traded by DFM. Going to try and pick up that tier 2.
Wait, the Satchel gets another tower.
It does. So that's a massive gain there for Rascal Jester. So well played. Using that Ziggs ability so damn well.
I had not thought of that combo before. That is a destructive combo. At least Ebby trades for the top lane turret there. But the inhibitor turret down in the mid lane means that they can get priority on this mid lane for the entire game now if they manage to push up the wave. And with the ample amount of wave clear they have, they'll certainly be able to do that.
Yeah, and they claim the Infernal Drake too. So first of this Infernal to take it over. Ebby's going to try and trade in this top side. Does have enough of a shield, and I think he's got to take this as well. So it will at least be inhibitor turret for inhibitor turret trade.
But there is the Infernal Dragon taken by Rascal Jester. And so the individual stats aren't the biggest thing on the smaller Drakes, but it does stop DFM getting their third Drake of the game. This is a very competitive mid-game from Rascal Jester.
Yes, it is, but of course, we have to be aware that DFM play their side lane so damn well, and the fact that Ebby once again has managed to find himself in a position where he gets to split push on this set one way or another, had picked up that Trinity Force, got to use it to maximum effect, picked up the 2 towers. But yes, what a series of plays from Rascal Jester.
Absolutely, yeah.
Break down that mid lane, take the Infernal Drake, and yeah, great combo with the Zig Satchel.
But so the problem with Ziggs that we'll run into eventually is that you have to have the Baron to siege now, though.
Yes.
Because you don't really... Well, there is no ability for Ziggs to siege a mid lane turret because there are no mid lane turrets left now. You can sit him in the mid lane and try a wave clear. He doesn't have a teleport to go to a side lanes, and even if he did, though, Ziggs is pretty bad in a side lane.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a satchel charge, and that's it. The man, like, waddles away holding bombs in hand pretty slowly and is quite able to be run down.
Absolutely. But if Sejuani walks over to that lane, gets... bit difficult for the old Pyrotechnic.
Indeed, and speaking of walking into side lanes, it's Saros with a Banshee's Veil up in one side lane, Ebby in another, and that means the double teleport 1-3-1 setup from DFM is once again available. Gang's going to run across a number of the Jesters and just sort of put some vision control down, basically. At least contest for it. Gonna dash forward is Vivid, doesn't hit the Winter Spike though, so safe as that misfortune.
Okay, and Art at 22 minutes has got the Muramana, hasn't completed the Triforce just yet, but as soon as he has that, he just actually. Okay, so Ezreal at his power spike. Ziggs at a very strong position as well. Has got the Nizzy Large Rod in inventory, so probably going towards the Death Cap as the third item, not the second item. So Ninja will be able to get the Rabadon's Death Crown from the upgrades, the ornaments, as soon as that's completed. But it could be a little while yet because he's only just picked up the first component for it.
Yeah, and while we've been praising the Jesters, they're actually down 2,500, 3,000 gold. Like out of kind of, I think just the fact that DFM are farming more sideways. Cassiopeia has gone from 20 CS up to about 40 CS in the lead now because, of course, this Ziggs having to farm in the mid lane with the Ezreal. And top lane as well. Ebby's extended his lead a little bit as well. So I'm assuming that's where it's coming from.
They're down CS in every lane. There's 40 in the mid lane, there's 15 in the bot lane, in the top lane, it's another 15 as well. And even the couple of camps, while there are camps available to take on spawn as well. Mid lane for the entire game too, and will have had more plates before that 14 minute mark because of the pressure they had in both the bot lane and the top lane.
Yeah, and so Jester's competitive, but how are they going to be able to respond at this point to DFM who are happy in the 1-3-1 setup? Forcing in the mid lane where there's just less defenses available.
I actually don't think that that Rascal Jester are too unhappy to be in a 1-3-1 themselves, but because the Ezreal can farm outside lane if he does want to with this teleport too. The question is where DFM want to start putting the Sejuani on the map, because if Sejuani is on a certain side of the map, as we see a Predator committed from Hatchemecha here actually on the Trundle, just seeing if you can catch out the Cassiopeia. That's another thing worth noting as well. It is the Predator on this.
Yes,
sometimes we see the Conqueror on Trundle, but it is the Predator this time. Gives you a bit more of that those pathing opportunities.
Yeah, and while DFM can push in the sideways with impunity, I pity the man that thinks they can push through a Ziggs with all these items at this point in the game. DFM, Ebby finds his way onto Concord, start throwing those left, right, and Conqueror stacks. Decent Facebreaker, decent Haymaker, half HP on this Ornn, but of course it's Ornn isn't going to die anytime soon, but the trade is decent all the same.
Yeah, and So the thing about sharing mid-wave farm so much and then, losing out on a couple of sides, a level advantage. Actually, I'm going to stop that. There is a fight coming here.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's really a fight so much as a little scuffle. There's half HP on a Trundle, but that's about it. What it does lead to, though, is Scuttle Crab control for DFM, who do take that one, and everyone else walks away. But these leads for particular solo lanes is just going to keep expanding.
Yeah, so there's a level advantage for Ebby here, as you can see, 14 to 13, trading very well against the Ornn there. Just making sure every time he's away from turret, just wail on the Ornn there. Yutapon even taking away the Raptors here as well as he pushes into mid lane. Taking everything there is to be taken. There's a 2-level advantage on Seros over Ninja as well. That's a big one. Because this Cassiopeia has made a way up to 2 items, has the Seraphs and the Banshee's Veil working towards... Maybe it could be a Void Staff. It could also be either a Merlinomicon or a Liandry's though. There are plenty of items which build out of those 2 things though.
Yeah, we're looking at Amp Tone in storage as well.
Oh, this is the 25-minute Baron start off 2-man by DFM here, but they are spotted out this time.
To stop it. But the split push was continuing all the while, so at the very least, Ebby picks up a turret. Hachimecha trying to catch out Steel once more, but the Arctic Assault is saved, means he just gets to use that to get over the pillar rather than be interrupted by it. Infernal Drake is up. Yutapon is starting it up. Ebby is here as well. But Rascal Jester here to contest, moving across, pushing up the mid lane.
I'm not sure they're going to get there in time. I don't think they're heading towards it.
No,
they're going to give up this dragon and look towards the Baron maybe to sweep out Vision.
Yes, they are, and that puts DFM at Infernal Soul Point, which is not what the Jesters want.
Yeah, and so DFM are working really hard and doing very well and making sure Rascal Jester never get to a point where they can siege another turret. They're not good. Obviously, there aren't any more mirror turrets to siege, and they've never managed to find their way onto a sideline.
It was the Void Staff in the end for Cassiopeia, just went back and picked it up, along with a Warmogs now for Sejuani. That's a couple really big item pickups, actually. Yep. Really helps with the Sejuani's ability to stay on the map and stay tanky. And the Void Staff means that any of the magic resist that Rascal Jester even dare to pick up is going to mean increasingly little.
It means that the Ornn is not infallible in team fights. If he does fluff the engage, get stuck in the middle of the team. Talked about this a little bit from Champion Select, means that the Cassiopeia can definitely shred through that Ornn.
Yeah, I suppose as well, as a sort of side note, it means that if Rascal just did try to change the lane assailments up and put the Ornn against the Cassiopeia, she's got more options in that lane. But either way, I totally agree the team fight's a big one there.
Well, the thing is, though, Cassiopeia has really good lane matchups into the Ziggs and the Ornn now with the Banshees because they both deal mainly magic damage. Has really good tank shredding stats onto the Ornn. But on the other side, we do finally see some Ornn items coming in. We see the Trinity Fusion coming in for the Ezreal, the extra stats, or a whole menagerie of stats from that item. And then we see the Rabadon's Death Crown finally picked up for Ninja there. Actually in a very good spot, even though he is a level down onto the Cassiopeia. Lots of stats available to that Ziggs.
Yeah. Definitely can do a lot of damage. He's definitely in a position to carry as well. This Ezreal is also at a very strong point. Has got his 2.5 items complete at this point. But Jesters need to find something at this point to use these spikes, I assume.
But it's worth saying on the other side, there's a 50 CS lead for Yutapon on the Misfortune. He's been running into the enemy jungle, taking camps, taking a lot of mid-wave, never being pressured, never going to be losing farm because no one is exactly poking him out right now, and has found his way to the solo queue most winningest build, the 2 AD items with the crit, and then the Bloodthirster as well. Rascal Jester starting the Baron, though, from this pressure.
They're done with taking the 1-3-1 with impunity. That means that DFM are have to contest, but Vivid is very low. There's a teleport coming in by. That's a fantastic Mimer. That's a great Glacial. That's an awesome bullet time, and everybody is being deleted. Cassiopeia is a petrifying force, deleting everybody. Yutapon on this Misfortune struts her way around and blows up 4 members of the Jesters. They're teleporting to end. Vivid has to flash away from Ebby, who is running down this Braum.
And Gang says, game over! Fantastic flank on the Rakan there. We talked about him having a history on this champion, comes in with a huge flank on the Rakan, with the quickness, with the grand entrance, the teleport into the bot lane, as you were saying, taking out the bot lane inhibitor, 20 crit, and then the blood. They might look for a Nexus turret.
It was close until it wasn't. DFM find their way into the base. They're thinking of ending it. Never mind that. Vivid gets knocked up. He's got a shield. He's got a door. And he's got no hope. That means it is game over. DFM win it in 29 minutes and 22 seconds.
And the game turns on a dime as Rascal Jester get picked off around the Baron and leads to the game ending in favor of DFM. Mass Swan, what are your thoughts on that game?
DFM just say, hello, under 30-minute games, we're done with these long games. I know we had a long game last week. No more. Or was it week 2? Doesn't matter to us. We want sub 30-minute games. What a statement in both of them, playing completely different comps, relatively speaking, and still performing so beautifully. 26-minute game, 29-minute game. DFM are on form, and they're a juggernaut now. They are fully going, and commiserations to the Jesters, who had a pretty decent mid-game, but one mistake equals the loss, and that was.
And I have to say that's what shows to me that DFM are a team with class, right? There's something. One of Papa Smithy's most famous adages is that form is temporary, class is forever, or class is permanent, rather. DFM, they won that team fight, and me looking at that game would think a lesser team would back off there, take the Baron, reset the game. DFM know they can just end the game.
Yeah,
they just end the game. There's no qualms about it. They kill the Nexus, they kill the inhibitor, they kill the Nexus, or it's the end of the game. And that's something where you have to all be on the same page, knowing that's going to happen. It was immediate teleport after the fight was won, and the game just ends on a dime.
Yeah, and we saw some great set plays from Rascal Jesters. That Rift Herald play in the mid lane looked really stylish. Great use of the Zigzag, but it was like, in the end, all it ended up being a trade for was an Infernal Drake, because Ebby managed to split push his way to 2 towers himself, exposed an inhibitor himself. And that was an issue, right? Was that DFM once again showed that they play side lanes better than any other damn team in this league.
Absolutely.
They really do. And now with that in mind, we will have our 4th and final game to go into. It's going to be Rascal Jester Burning Core, the team that's on a slight hot streak at the moment, versus the team who's trying to figure everything out again. Catch us right after that break.